I just wanted to put Filipino food at the forefront. To create something great, you gotta know that the naysayers are gonna come. Don't be afraid to fail. Because I fail all the time. Fail fast, get back up, and succeed. We're here.
Here we are. We're in the studio in Berkeley.
I can't believe it.
I know. I can't believe you're here and you brought your big fancy glasses. And it's pretty awesome.
To me, they're not that fancy, man. I bought them online.
They're a statement, right? You walk into a room, it's a statement piece. So I'm here with Alex of the Lumpia Company.
That's
you
right.
are a chef, a creative, an entrepreneur, and you have seen so much success in an industry in a city that is very competitive, right? And so let's talk a little bit about your food first, and then we're going to talk about your journey and the success you've had, this apparel line that you have. So let's first start with, really what inspired you to do what you do at the Lumpia. And what is Lumpia, right?
Lumpia is love. It's the most celebrated food item, but it's an appetizer in Filipino culture.
It's an actual food type.
It's a
dish, right?
It really isn't a dish. I made it a dish. Is it a
state of mind?
I made it a dish. Lumpia is that egg roll that mama rolls for the holidays, maybe once or twice a year. It's a deep fried spring roll. And people call it egg roll, and that's technically incorrect. It's a spring roll. It's a spring roll. It's a flour wrapper. There's no egg in it.
Let's break it down. What is the difference between a lumpia and an egg roll, right? Let's just get this.
Egg roll is the lazy definition of it. It's an egg wrapper, deep fried with the ingredients in it, with ground meats and veggies.
Right? How is it different?
It's very the same. It's just a different wrapper. So a spring roll wrapper has no egg in it. It's a flour wrapper.
Oh.
It's vegan too, but it's thinner. It's pastry-like when you fry it.
Did
it's
you bring
flaky.
any?
Let me. I forgot.
No,
none with me right now.
Wow, that is huge.
I hear that question every day.
I'm sure you do.
I'm about to pivot a new business model because I drive around a van with the logo on it, and people are like, "Hey, you have Lumpia on board?" I'm like, man,
you could get like a belt, like a tool belt, but it could be your Lumpia belt, right? And you could just have them. And so when people like me who are vegan, right, it sounds really good. You just whip out a Lumpia.
Yeah.
No,
but I think I should just sell frozens on the spot.
You really should.
I mean, people used to sell frozen steaks and just knock on your door. I could do that.
There's a million different things you could do.
Right.
But let's talk about what you've done that is so successful, and you have scaled, right? You're not just some little dippity-doo food company, right? Let's talk about, first of all, the inspiration for the Lumpia Company.
Right. So Lumpia is always shared at a Filipino house party. Whenever we invite, as a kid, new guests, new classmate in third grade. Hey, Mom, I got to throw a birthday party, and we got to invite every kid in class. Mom has, you as a mom or anyone as a parent has to think of, what are we going to serve the kids?
Yeah.
Oh, buy some pizzas or whatever. Every Filipino mom said lumpia because it's the gateway to introducing people to our favorite food. And our food here in America, Filipino American culture, where a lot of Filipino culture wasn't brought back to us because they moved here to America. Food is our love language.
Yeah.
Food is what we share. And it was through lumpia, these deep fried spring roll wrappers with ground meats, julienne veggies, sauteed, marinated, and then you roll it up, deep fry it, and put them in a tray. There's like 100 of them for the kids. Dip it in sauce. It's magic. And that instantly became, Eduardo, my Mexican friend, Tom Hall, my American friend. That instantly became their favorite food whenever they had a sleepover at a buddy's house. They always remember the lumpia. I don't remember the sandwich I ate at
Right.
whomever's
No,
house.
I don't either.
Everyone
Not too much.
remembers the lumpia when they went to Alex's party. Yeah.
And that is the humble beginnings of the Lumpia Company.
Yeah. It was like the food of confidence that mom would serve, and we're not scared to share it with all the guests because it's a guaranteed hit. There's always a saying, everybody loves lumpia.
Yeah.
We learned that as a kid.
Yeah.
So seeing that being so successful and making the party successful, the parents of the kids parties, the blast, lumpia was always the highlight. Why not turn this into a worldwide business? How come there's thousands of taco companies and sushi companies and even samosas, even pupusas? I learned this stuff, and I learned Filipino cultures and hip hop cultures through traveling with talent, traveling with DJs, traveling with world renowned comedians, and even like hip hop groups, that became world renowned pop groups, or like the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
I learned, that, through traveling, I went out to eat after the club, after the studio gig, where we're going to eat. And nowhere did I find any lumpia shops that can speak to the world.
Right. Right. So you saw an opportunity, and this...
I didn't see it instantly.
Right.
Because I was just eating all this great food. Right. But then I realized, how come I'm not eating my own stuff? Or
right.
There's a Filipino business that can really grow there because it's sharing our culture and our love.
Yeah. And so we were talking a little bit earlier, there's the tradition of this food and what it stands for and what it means when you share this food. So so you started the Lumpia Company how long ago?
2014.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. That's amazing for a startup to be still going strong.
Right.
How do you, first of all, the food business is challenging.
Right.
It is particularly challenging in this area, in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
How did you, first of all, balance the tradition, right, with your own creativity? How do you do that?
I think that just as an entrepreneur, it was more about just what Alex is going to do next. Because I failed at many different small businesses. I tried, from being a successful club promoter here in the Bay Area. I was like the go-to promoter when a LA musician wants to perform in a city near, outside of LA. And then I became, I was like part of an entourage of touring comedians and things like that. But I never had a successful business because some of these talents should just grow out of my ranks and join CAA or William Morris. And, I didn't have the bankroll behind me.
Yeah.
So, I was just a Filipino promoter, successful at gathering people. And success was just, putting these events together for 15 to 20 years, So with the Lumpia Company, that was like, I was pushing past 40 years old, and I'm like, I couldn't support a relationship with my girlfriend in Los Angeles. So I said, all right, I'm going to take one last chance at a passion project, or I'm going to listen to my mom and be a med tech or something like that.
Right.
And,
I'm sorry, I just don't see that for you. Right?
Yeah,
I'm just not
I grew
sure
up
you're
with
wired that
a
way.
bunch of doctors. I grew up lavishly as a kid, and my pops was a surgeon. And that means that I was like always the entertainer.
Yeah.
I was the little brother of 5. I was always in food service because my mom had loads of Costco food. And it wasn't Costco back then. I'm old. It was Price Club.
Right.
So I served nachos, hot dogs, corn dogs. I created my own menus. I was always serving food and having fun time, putting the game on, playing video games. And that was just my personality. So when you talk about food being really hard and a challenge, starting your business is really hard. And I learned from all my failures that, this is just what I do. I have no choice. And
So you earlier you were talking about, I had many failures
yeah,
in small business and startups. Like how did you dust yourself off and do it again? Right? Because some people just collapse at failure and never take another step in the direction of standing up a business.
I think that being in entertainment, I was always the support group. I was always the promoter or producer or a manager. And with that, you need to run your own agency and have a lot of money behind you. Okay, so let's check that off. I'm not going to have a lot of money behind me. So I got to start a business where I don't see enough lumpia out there. Filipino food, I saw 10 years, I looked at it, and I always look at things, where's this idea going to be 5 years from now and 10 years from now? And I said, I want to build a lumpia business, and it's a lumpia company, right? And I got to come up with a name. And everyone knows in business and also like food or entertainment, the brand, the recognition, the trademark.
Yeah.
You got to be smart with it. So I'm going to blow this up, and I'm going to have a variety of flavors. So lumpia, I had to come up with a name. It could be like Alex's Lumpia Company or Island Lumpia Company. I said, well, I need something that's world and maybe generic, I guess, but maybe something that could penetrate multiple markets, from walk-up restaurant to frozen distribution to being in ballparks. I'm going to create the Lumpia Company, the one and only, because
anything else sounds kind of dippity-doo, right? Like it just, Alex's Lumpia sounds like the guy with a push cart. Like the Lumpia Company, it's like, it feels bigger and easier to scale, right?
And it's just like, I wanted to be the one and only.
Like going in, you wanted it to be bigger than a small business.
My goal is just how to share Filipino culture through food with the world. And I always saw the best, if I'm going to hop to where's the best place for me to launch this project? And I said, the San Francisco Giants game.
Yeah.
Not the Niners game, not the Warriors game.
This part is amazing. Like the high profile, distribution that you have managed. Like talk about that a little bit, because that's inspiring stuff.
I'll tell you this, but before I ever had the term and the idea, the concept, the Lumpia Company in my mind, I was trying to develop a Filipino food business, because at that time there was no cool, recognizable Filipino food brands. Like back then is Chipotle. Back then was like, oh wow, they I don't know, they commercialized the burrito or whatever, but the brand is recognizable, right? I just wanted to put Filipino food at the forefront. I always was like feeling the Filipino barbecue sticks and the rice bowls and the adobo. Everyone needs to enjoy this stuff. And I partnered up with, I saw one of my favorite bar and grills that moved here from the Philippines. They're called Jerry's Grill, and they're like the Fridays of the Philippines. And I used to promote like Wednesday nights with them, and I wanted to like expand their brand because they're so huge in Asia. But here in America, this is Filipino American culture. This is what I do. I'm a historian of this stuff. So I pitched them I said, I have a perfect place to launch Jerry's at the game. And it was at the San Francisco Giants. I pitched it to them. I said, Jerry, cook up a menu.
How did you get
2007, I got the green light.
But did you have a relationship with somebody at the Giants? Or did you just pick up the phone, or were you just making a nussance of yourself?
Walked in,
right? knocked on the door.
Seriously, because when there's nothing out there, when your concept's not out there yet, that's the golden moment to take over.
Yeah.
To create your own path. So I said, hey, Giants, you have the largest Filipino fan demographic. You're already like a multiple year champion. You have a Filipino pitcher on the team. Everywhere I look, I see a Filipino uncle wearing a Giants hat. You're in Daly City's backyard. This place right here that packs 40,000 a game is the best place to sample your food business. And this will help us grow and expand your food brand worldwide, nationwide. Let's do all the ballparks. I got the green light from the Giants.
Wow.
I brought it back to Jerry's. They didn't want to do it. I thought I was going to break a barbecue skewer and some lumpias on the side and serve it. They were going to give me another iconic Asian fast food restaurant's old booth. I think they're all the way from LA. They're called Panda Express. You ever hear of them?
Yeah, of course.
So I was going to take over the Panda Express booth that retired like 5 years before that. And they just made a generic Chinese food. And they wanted to give me the booth with the rickshaw in it because it's Asian. And I'm like, at that time, you're just thinking, man, they don't understand my culture, but you just have to take it.
Yeah.
All right. I'll
That is so
this is my opportunity
Yeah.
to change. You know, you got to accept things on lower terms because you're like, you're trying to break, that's your breaking point.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they said no. So I called that. I was shocked. I was like, man, that could have been my one project. So I'm like, maybe 5 years later, I called them, hey, I have an idea. What if we had lumpias in there? And then they're all, oh, that sounds like a good idea. But do you own the business? I'm like, no, I don't. It's just an idea. They said, oh, well, you got to have a restaurant to do it. Like you've never done it. You can't prove it. I'm like, but it's so easy. Like I can do it. And then they said no. So 5 years after that, I created the Lumpia Company. I was like 3 years in it. I called them back, and then they're like, all right, we see you all over Instagram. We're going to call you in for a taste test. And then that's where, when I changed the opportunity, a big no, with Jerry's Grill, this is the first time I've ever gone public with who I used to help with, and it was like my biggest no in my entrepreneurial journey.
But it didn't stop you. You kept going.
It delayed. It delayed.
Was a delay.
But that no ended up forcing me to create this.
Yeah.
It's
always like that.
The Lumpia Company. And what's so special about our Lumpia Company is that I didn't just put the lumpias that my mom made. I put the lumpias that me growing up a kid liking pastrami sandwiches and nachos and bacon cheeseburgers. I put those into lumpias. And when I came out with that, the haters came out and said, that's not Filipino enough.
Right.
But do you see Japanese people saying that's not Japanese enough? Because there's like a million different variations of sushis.
Right.
To create something great, you got to know that, the naysayers are going to come. But if you believe and know that this thing's going to kill, just follow the journey, finish it off, because what we're creating here has never been created. And that's where we are now, so.
It's not surprising to me that you're a success because you are an extraordinary storyteller, right?
I've just been through it.
Right? No, and I think that your storytelling comes through in your food, right? You are telling a story. You are fusing cultures. You are changing the perception of, your culture and accessibility to the things that you enjoy, right? Like you're making people happy.
Yeah, like there's like big things and big occasions where people are just like we're gonna take Filipino night and bring it to a ballpark. But I have like smaller events that were like make or break moments for me. I spent 10 years in promoting comedians.
Yeah.
And I was always the Filipino version of that's what I was. I was the best of. Like I was the best cover singer of all time. I was the Arnel Pineda is one of the best vocalists out there, but he's still singing, Steve's song, right?
Right.
So I would go to LA and copy the LA promoters and bring LA parties to the Bay Area. But what I'm saying is, I would promote comedy shows, and there's a show called The Kings of Comedy, right?
Oh yeah.
And that had like all the who's on that show, but they had some of the best
Big
comics
names.
on there.
Yeah.
I know I'm going blank, but I brought that version, and Filipino comedy was on the rise. And I did a show called Filipino Kings of Comedy and got sued by Sean Latham or Walter Latham because he owns that term, Kings of Comedy. But I still did the show because I was selling these out because you had the likes of a Joe Coy and a Joey Gila and Ron Josso, Edwin San Juan, a lot of these LA-based guys and Canadian. And I was able to do the best touring they called it ethnic show on the Levity Improv train. So I put on like a 12-city tour and just ate late night eats in Chicago and LA and New York, in Toronto, in Virginia Beach, and learned those cultures and learned that there's no lumpias out there. So I had one make or break moment when I was like, towards the end of our tour, I was like, all right, you guys, like I put all my effort in this show. You guys are the talent. I'm not really doing much. I want to once you guys blow up, there could only be one like King's tour. You guys go on your own thing, get your own Netflix stuff. I was the promoter and said, I want to sell lumpias at our show, but not just the pork and shrimp Shanghai lumpias. I want to sell bacon cheeseburger lumpias. So I got the green light from Levity to sell these lumpias in Ontario Mills Mall Improv. And at that time, I look at my bank account and I have like negative balances. I had to borrow money. I didn't have enough. They gave me the green light. Hey, we want to try your lumpia concept, but I need to travel with, at that time I thought I have to make 1,000 lumpias. Whoa, right? I make that like half a day now, right?
Right.
So I had to like get dry. Where do I buy dry ice? I need a cooler. How am I going to transport it? I don't have a car right now that can make it all the way there. So I got a Megabus. I got on a Megabus, right? And
what's a Megabus?
Megabus is like a double-decker Greyhound.
Oh, okay.
So just down the street.
Where'd you get the money though? If you were upside down in your bank account?
I mean, money had cash in hand, so couldn't use the card. And then so here's the deal: is that I had to get those over frozen lumpias. I had to pack them in a cooler. Then I had to I had to roll them in a day, freeze them, pack them in Ziplocs, and then I had to get on a 2 a.m. bus ride that goes down the Highway 5 all the way to LA. I got there at 1:45, and then they said, "What's in that cooler?" Now I'm like, "Oh, it's lumpias." And honey, no perishables on it. This is like my mixtape.
Oh
taking
God.
the Def Jam. I'm like, what do you mean I can't bring this? This is like my whole life. This is like my make or break. Like, so there, I'll talk to the driver. I'm like, oh, all right. So I was crying,
Yeah.
like, so I had to gather myself and say, gotta convince her. I said, honey, honey, see this bag of lumpia right here? This is gonna, everyone in the world is gonna eat this bacon cheeseburger lumpia. I really need to get this cooler of 1,000 lumpias. I had to throw some away because I had to make a certain weight.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, it really means this is gonna change the world. That thing. She said, honey, somebody didn't show up, so you could just put your cooler up on that seat. She just saw how sad I was, and I gave everything I had. I don't know who you are, like where she is, but I love the bus driver that allowed
she changed your life.
She changed my life. And I took the bus all the way to LA. Buddy Lyle picked me up and drove me all the way to the Ontario Mills. I rolled the lumpias into the freezer. And then, we sold those out in one show. Wow. And I had 5 shows to go. So I took whatever money I had, and Improv said, we'll pay for your ingredients because it was such a hit. And I made the lumpias there. And that's when I really realized I'm a chef. I could do this stuff. And I'm going to go 100% the Lumpia Company after this. So that was like, man, that was a make or break moment.
Yeah,
for me.
that was, you ended up on the right side of that moment for sure. And how lucky are you to have that bus driver, right? Like what? And like, it's like all the fates lined up in order for this to happen.
It gets me, it sheds a tear in my eye right now.
It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
So what about the, you have a line of apparel, right? It's super cool. I saw it on Instagram. So talk to me a little bit about how, like, why you're doing this and what it does for the brand.
Man, I just grew up as wearing some of the best hip hop gear in the land, from being a promoter and just being around that lifestyle. I have many friends that have successful brands from the Bay Area all the way to LA. And it just, I saw, people spending money on taco shirts and other things like that. And now that I have, some cool people involved in my business, then we better swag it up because, that's just, I don't know. I want to go to work wearing my own gear. Yeah. And then apparently other people like to wear it too. So,
and when you see it out in the wild, right? Like when you see somebody wearing one of your shirts, isn't it just like an aha moment? Like, wow.
It is. It's like someone in London, it was on like Joe Coy show. And then he spotted out like a t-shirt. It said "Eat Lumpia" and like "Run DMC style."
That's so awesome.
And it stopped his show. He's like, "Hey, it's my friend's shirt," And they sent me a picture. I'm like, "Yeah, man. I told you we're gonna blow up."
Yeah, and you did. So what's next? Like, how do you've scaled? You have beat the odds, and at every corner, you've been very, very lucky. You've been good. But you've been mostly lucky, right? Yeah. Like what's next for you guys?
So now, as you grow in scale, the real restaurant acumen really comes to play on, challenging those costs and logistics. How do we, if we do expand, how do we keep quality and spread the love?
Yeah.
And, that's where we're at since day one, I had folks like Costco messaging me or, saying, "Come in, man. We like your brand."
Wow.
And, and we're still working on things like that right now. Getting things, to grow and scale manufacturing. Why not? Why isn't there like a lumpia sauce everywhere? And why, and I can tell that none of these are secrets because, I'm still on level 2, I got 10 more levels to take this business to.
Yeah.
But just to get the level 2 takes 10 years, guys. So
Yeah, it's what you just said is so key, I
Yeah.
think, like talking about how you stay true to that core belief and that core philosophy of, love. This is a story of love, right? And sharing. How do you stay true to that and hit those next 10 levels that you're talking about?
Man, it's just from day one, like Lumpia's love, and it's a guaranteed win. But now it's like managing a team.
Yeah, it changes, doesn't it?
Really not just hiring just to have people in place, but you have to have the right fit, people that do kind of like understand your dream and want to be a part of the dream. That really matters.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they're not staying, because there's most of the people are going to stay because they like what we're doing. And we're in restaurant business, so I've given everybody a raise, but there's a certain threshold that I could keep, help me get to the next level so we all can get more. But just having a great team, that's great. Always be ready to pivot, which I'm doing right now, because I've always been an artisan. I loved being the chef for like 5 years and just creating all these, this was during Breaking Bad, my favorite series. And I thought I was the guy in the lab creating a special formula. And that's the way I treated it. I was like really nerded out and didn't go out the clubs. All Rome Diggs and all those guys were at the clubs. I just stayed home because I said, I'm going to build something great so that, when I do come back out, I'm just coming through. I'm just coming out. But now it's like nowadays I walk outside and they go Lumpia guy or hey Lumpia man. I'm a man. I was Alex before this. I've done a few things, but I can name a lot of things. But what I've learned is it's all about what you're doing now, and whatever I do, I hope I do it for happiness right now.
Yeah, it definitely comes through.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone out there who is an aspiring food entrepreneur, there's a lot of them. What advice, and I think you've actually kind of covered this, but let's close on this because it's super important because you are driven by passion.
Right.
Some people trip over their passion, right? And fall right on their faces.
Right.
But what advice do you have for aspiring food entrepreneurs, right?
If I know a lot of you guys are out there, and if, you think it's a great idea, you believe in it, you eat it, you love to make it, try it out. Join a little market, join a festival. Don't be afraid to fail. Because I fail all the time. I just don't release it.
Right. Well, and you learn from it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of guides you.
Yeah. But if you ever have an itch of just jumping out from your job and starting a food business, there's a way to keep your job and really go strong and try it out. Just join 2 or 3 festivals that year. And there's a lot of them out there. Invest in it. You're not going to get rich from it in 1 year. You're going to get shine. You're going to get love, and you're going to love what you're doing. And if that happens, that's your first victory. After that, scale up, get an investor, and start the business. And that would be my words of advice is, if you're thinking about it, you're going to do it. Find out your mistakes now. Don't wait till later.
Fail fast, right?
Yeah. Fail fast, get back up, and succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, you are so authentic and awesome to talk to. I'm so grateful that you came today. So thank you for sharing your story.
We're talking lumpia. I can't believe it.
And your glasses. Yeah.